Hey guys, who has a case of the Mondays? I guess I do because I just filmed an entire video and realized that I hadn't hit record. So Lola and I are doing take two. Hope you're doing well. Everything's going pretty alright here. Actually closing on a house today, which seems like a crazy time to be buying a house, but didn't really envision that a month ago when started this process. So you have to have somewhere to live, right? We're just moving forward and that's all we can do. I'm gonna put this girl down and show you some art. This one is called Date Night. And the reason I called it that is because, I think of the prickly pear as kind of the junk cactus and that people don't really appreciate it. They don't, they're pretty ubiquitous. They grow a lot of places. They kind of fall into the background a lot of the time. But this one, it was like, she'd gotten all dolled up and she was like, look at me. The amount of blooms that were on this cactus, just phenomenal. Took the photo at Boyce Thompson Arboretum in Superior, Arizona. I just loved its colors. It's got these beautiful turquoise kind of colored pads, and then the buds were sort of a coral color, but then when they opened up, it was a yellow flower, which is really kind of fun. So all those different nuances of color in the buds and on the pads. One of the things about one of the things about watercolor paint is you can't paint next to another wet area without it bleeding into each other. So you really have to kind of bounce around when you're doing something like this. So I would paint, one pad of the prickly pear, and then I'd have to paint one over here, and then down here and up here, and really bounce around while I let them dry. And it doesn't take a really long time to dry, but that way you don't just end up with a big mush. The other thing is that if you try to paint around things, you end up with sort of a not smooth surface. You get brush strokes, and sometimes you want that type of effect, but most of the time you don't, and certainly on something like this, you don't. So the blooms and the buds here, what I did is I used a fluid called masking fluid, and I've had some folks ask me to do videos on how that works, and I need to do that. So sorry guys, but I used masking fluid, and it's basically kind of like a liquid latex substance, and painted it on the areas where these buds and these flowers were going to be. So that way when I painted these pads, I didn't have to try to paint around them. I just could paint right over that, and then when I was ready, I could remove it and then paint those. And so it just helps you be able to really focus on the thing that you are painting and not focus on painting around other things. So I was just really happy with how this turned out. I love the color scheme. I love the subject. I just love the feel of it. It feels really happy to me, and the cactus certainly made me happy to look at. So this one is available still on my website if you're interested. And I'll move on to my next one, which is also still available. And it is called Sonoran Anemones. So I took the photo that I did this from at the Desert Botanical Garden here in Phoenix, and it was early morning just after sunrise, and the way the light was behind the cactus and coming up underneath the clouds, it just reminded me of a feeling of being underwater. And then these organ pipe cactus and this Sonita cactus here reminded me of sea anemones. So I thought, hey, we're in the Sonoran Desert, Sonoran anemones. The organ pipe cactus, which is here in front and kind of here on the side, those in the Sonita, which is a kind of a close relative of it, that has kind of has hair on the ends of it. They grow in southwestern Arizona. There's a national monument actually that is Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, that both of those types of cactus are pretty prevalent in right there on the Mexican border. It's a beautiful park. I've spent some time there. Definitely one of the lesser visited parks. The highway through it's pretty busy, people going down to Rocky Point on the Sea of Cortez in Mexico. But seems like most of them don't turn off and actually experience much of the park. And definitely, I've actually been thinking about going there recently, but I guess I have to stay home right now. There's also some little barrel cactus down here, creosote bush, and a saguaro cactus. But I'll give you some kind of close-ups here. You know, here you've got kind of one of the limbs of the Oregon pipe cactus has died, and the skeleton of that is coming out. The rib. All these little dots. Yes, I paint all those. I really just love the feel of this. It's just the light and the colors, and I don't know, it's really fun. Speaking of the masking fluid, I masked off all of these cactus before I painted the sky. So I would have made all of this so it couldn't get paint on it, because watercolor is transparent. So if I paint the sky and I paint here, it's going to be blue and it'll show through that green. So I masked all that off, painted the sky and some of the background, and then removed that into the cactus. So just to give you an idea of all the processes involved and all the thought that's involved, and how you have to really plan and think things through especially on watercolor. I used to paint a lot in acrylic, and it's just a very different thing. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're doing well and not feeling too stir crazy if you're stuck in the house, which I'm sure that most of you are. Have a good day, and I'll hopefully talk to you tomorrow. Bye.